You're listening to Moon Monkey. On this episode, we're going to be talking about First Man, that's directed by Damien Chazelle.
Episode 101.
Yeah, episode 101.
101. So, First Man, starring Ryan Gosling as Neil Armstrong and Claire Foy as his wife, Janet Armstrong. I'm not going to insult anybody by trying to tell you what this movie's about.
I'd never heard of him.
Because it's just really the biopic story of Neil Armstrong and NASA's attempt to get to the moon. But I think essentially it is all about
NASA's alleged moon landing.
Yeah, unless you want to believe that. Who was the director that some people say did the moon landing?
Kubrick.
Unless you want to believe that Stanley Kubrick did it in the studio, but that's up to you. That's your call. But we're going to go with the canon, the NASA canon of that they did actually go.
But written and directed by Damien Chazelle, who also worked on La La Land and Whiplash, which we both really like.
Yeah, Whiplash was really good. La La Land I've not seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. And 10 Cloverfield Lane as well.
We should probably have seen La La Land if we're going to mention La La Land, but we haven't.
I know, but it was a big film.
It was.
Will have seen it. We've seen 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was awesome, and Whiplash is awesome.
Him and Gosling reunited again, and I think for a very good reason, because it's a very good movie. I really liked it. It really builds the story of how and why they went, and what it cost to not in monetary values, but in like people and the effect it had on those families.
There's a lot of things going wrong. But like you say, like people know the story, but I don't.
Well, you know what the movie's going to be about.
I know who Neil Armstrong is. Yeah. But like, there's a lot of things about how they did the rocket and about the technology at the time and how they were testing it and training people that you weren't aware of, and especially some stuff about Neil Armstrong and his family
personal.
life.
It's very, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it is based on like a book about him as well.
Like early in the film, his daughter has an illness which she dies from, and that's sort of the emotional thread that runs through the film. Is him trying to cope with this while also doing this immense thing, which is probably going to change human history or be a great sort of step in human history. Claire Foy was fantastic as his wife,
and she really is like the emotional hub of the movie,
because it's her and he has his two sons, and the film's sort of split between like him at NASA and doing his training and then trying to get this rocket to fly, and his home life with his wife and kids. And that was something for me where like I was more interested in the
you hated any moment that didn't involve a rocket or space. Anything else now you would have cut. It would have been on the cutting room floor.
Here's the thing. The movie opens with like a fantastic sequence of him in the cockpit of, it's sort of a rocket. Yeah, it's like goes just
module.
It goes just outside the atmosphere. I think they're basically trying to get it to like a similar thing that we're trying to attempt now with commercial flight is like to go just outside the atmosphere and then come back. And like it's really well shot,
really tense,
very close up. Like the ship's rattling around. You think he's going to bounce off the atmosphere, and it really like a lot of times when you're hearing about space, it's very distant, obviously, from us. But it's like you can't quite get your head around it. But this almost puts you in the cockpit with him, and you're so afraid that he's not going to make it back to the Earth. And that moment was amazing. And all the stuff when he's doing the training, you feel like the fear and the tension. I just felt like the family stuff didn't live up to the emotions that you were feeling during that stuff. You're feeling genuine fear and tension. But the family stuff, I felt like I couldn't really understand what he was feeling.
I think that's because you're emotionally cold inside.
That's very possible.
Because I feel like if you just had Neil Armstrong doing equations and flying around in a rocket, it'd be really good, because what they did do really well was the dangers of space exploration and the fact that it's all just welded together.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. It was like how shaky stuff was and rattling around and riveted together.
But if you just have that, then it's just Neil Armstrong who, because of what's happened, is like emotionally cut off from everything, and is just a stoic character doing calculations and not speaking to his friends, his family, or his wife. If he just had that,
but that's
just,
what
I know,
that's what it was.
But if you just have that, it's going to be a very straining watch. Just having Ryan Gosling looking emotionally cold.
But you're saying like him being stoic and not talking to his family, but that's what I felt like the family scenes.
But yeah,
if
you just had, but without the family, that's the emotional part of it. You see what the pain that she's going through, what the other families that are being affected with the loss of the pilots and things. I get like you just love the space stuff, but I think the two work really well together.
It wasn't all the stuff. Like I say, I thought Claire Foy was really good in it.
But you would have cut her.
I would have just cut parts of that stuff and focused on other things. Yeah. But again, that's just more of. I was just looking for a different film. It was also like, say, it touches on like the Russians and the space race and the fact that Americans are trying to beat Russians to stuff, and the Russians get to do the first spacewalk and the first man in space. But it like hints at it very subtly.
I would like more of that too.
And there was also a little mention of the fact that certain people weren't happy with them spending all this money on the space project when they should have been building houses for homeless people and funding welfare projects. And there's a part in the film where there's a black street poet doing a poem about how white people are basically attempting to get there and not solving any problems that they have in the country. To be honest, like, those are interesting parts, but that's such like a minor part of the film. So it's like, if you could have cut parts out and put more on that.
More Ryan Gosling breathing heavy in a can.
But I have to say, like, really well directed. Like the scene when he's like, on the moon, like, you genuinely felt more than other films that are in space. It somehow managed to capture the importance of what he's actually doing.
I really liked it, and I know what you're saying. Like, whenever he goes into space, there is that feeling of like, is he going to come back? Even though you know he's going to be fine, but they really make it like every little rattle and every little sound, and there's a moment where they're spinning out of control, and it is really gripping. It's like since, it is edge of your seat kind of stuff.
The space generation, since Star Wars and sci-fi films and things, we're so used to seeing people on other planets, it's almost become commonplace. But this film manages to get across what a big deal that is.
Yeah, how much effort it was.
And yeah, because he's walking on the surface of the moon, and usually you'd think, yeah, like, I've seen that a million times. But in this, you actually feel like he's...
It's a journey. It's a journey through it, like all the training and the losses. And
and there were other scenes that I really liked. Like the final shot of the film, I won't spoil it, but the final shot of the film is fantastic. Yeah. And like I say...
Yeah, I didn't know how they were going to wrap it, but they did.
Another thing I would say about the direction, it's very tactile in a way. There's a scene where it's like... very super close-ins, and he's like touching his daughter's hair, or you're seeing super close-ins on face or things, and it gives you that is like a sensation movie, very similar to what they did with Whiplash, when it's like a lot of close-ins and a lot of cuts, and that kind of thing where it's like really feels like you're so close into the action. And I think that's sort of become, maybe that's Damien Chazelle's directorial style, but it really works well here.
I thought it was really good, but you could say that it's more than just him going to the moon. It's all about like the isolation that he felt and getting over his daughter, and how he's shutting everything out apart from his grief that you only see in his head through his like flashbacks of certain moments and certain situations where it reminds him of his daughter and the past, and you see maybe like how he's driven to go to the moon to escape what's going on on Earth or something like that. But I thought it was just amazing. I really liked it, and I really thought this was going to be really dry and I'm not going to like it. But it was really well directed, and the two like Neil Armstrong and Janet Armstrong, Ryan Gosling and Claire Foy were really amazing. And I really liked seeing the toll on the neighbourhood, because all the astronauts and all the families are living together. Yeah, because I really like seeing that aspect of it. So yeah, I'd totally recommend this movie because I really liked it, and I didn't think I would, but I really did. And just like how you're saying, like the way it's shot and like inside the spacecraft,
Yeah.
And outside when they get to the moon, and it's the big open shots of him stepping down and looking down at the Earth and everything. You see what it means to everybody, and I just big fan of this movie.
That's the thing. Like, I would recommend the movie to people, but just to say, like, there is like that layer to it, like you're saying, with like the emotional and the psychological toll it's taking on him. So just be aware. It's not a film that's going to give you everything. Like, you have to put something into it. Like, you have to be thinking the significance of things and what's going on here. Where, compare it to like the other film where it's like Apollo 13, which pretty much like tells you everything and shows you everything pretty plainly. Like, you can't miss the signals that they're trying to give you of what's tense or what's scary or what's important. Whereas here it's much more subtle. Like, you have to pick up on the cues of things between him and his wife and what he's going through. It's like a great performance from Ryan Gosling, but you sort of have to be emotionally invested in the film. But other than that, fantastically directed and some really sort of thrilling scenes, great acting. So that's our review of First Man. We hope you enjoyed that, and we'll be back soon with more reviews.